Boom, shakalaka boom. You've tuned in to the free range human show of choice, your daily dose of reality radio, resistance radio. It starts right now. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards, coming at you live from 103.9 FM WYAB, streaming worldwide in stunning 4K video at SaveJXN on Facebook, YouTube, X, Rumble, and this morning we have woken the anger addicts up early over on Instagram for the first time ever. The Clay Edwards Show is streaming live over to our 55,000 followers at Instagram this morning. So, well, we're just here to let them know we're here. We ain't going to actually acknowledge too many of them over there, a bunch of anger addicts. Probably ain't been to sleep yet from last night. Let me cut SHAUN on. We got SHAUN YURTKURAN here in the studio with me, YURTKURAN Law Firm. Instagrammers over there, if y'all kill anybody or rob something, you needed a good defense attorney, SHAUN YURTKURAN just beat a murder rap this week, so he may be your guy. SHAUN, you want to plug your information early?
Not my own murder rap.
No. You have somebody else's. It's a FAFO Friday, and I know a lot of y'all will be doing some FAFO, and especially when the weather warms up a little bit.
Yeah, sure. You guys can call me at 601-862-1320 or go to onetextlaw.com or hit me up on Facebook. Seems to be a lot of people do it that way, which is fine with me. That actually works pretty easily.
It's easy to keep up with it.
It really is. It's really efficient.
You just go to the cut, just go to your messenger, like you got a face. Typically, got a face to a name, but a lot of folks use anonymous.
Yeah, and then like if they go to your website, I got a function where you can like schedule an appointment or a call and stuff, and then sometimes it goes to my email and I miss it, But Facebook, I never miss anything.
So yesterday I got a message from a guy. We were leaving here, and he's like, "Man, where you at? There's a $20,000 hit on your head."
You sent me that.
I said, "Well, let me just tell you where I'm at." And I said, "Well, I'm worth at least $100K."
Yeah, I know. We all tried to find where you were at when we heard the money was up.
He was like, he said, "I'm good with 20. Where are you? What's your location?" I said, "You're going to have to try a little harder."
Yeah, a little bit.
You're going to have to try a little bit. Anyway, I ended the conversation with, "I can't wait to be standing over top of you making a FAFO video about you." And that goes out to anybody else that, that wants to F around and find out.
So that was just some random guy on Facebook or something?
Yeah, he got way too much of his personal information on there. I got all of it.
Did you send it to the police? Or?
No, I'm going to decide what I'm going to do with it. I don't know what police to send it to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's making some threats to the internet, electronic communication threats. I mean, you could send it to the sheriff's department, attorney general's office, wherever you want to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do with all these people. I've got a stack of them. There's a lady that owns a tax business here in Jackson who sent some pretty insane stuff to me. What's it called? I'll remember it in a minute. Some unique tax or ultra tax or something. Anyway,
have you noticed the amount of tax businesses in Jackson?
It's a hustle.
This morning when I know it is, but I mean, it's just you see all the little signs, like political signs on the side of the road.
I'm probably going to report her to the IRS for potentially fraudulent tax returns.
This one I just noticed that on Medgar Evers, it was $8,500 right up front. I mean, this is such a hustle. It's kind of, and it's always in the low income neighborhoods they do that. You see all those little signs everywhere. It's just, I don't know, annoying to me.
Shocker.
Yeah, I know.
Low-income neighborhoods.
Sure, but I mean,
that's
just
the hustle.
Yeah, but it's preying off those kind of people too that are poor, and I hate that. I just see a lot of that crap everywhere. Like you ever see those like we buy houses in the low-income neighborhoods and those kind of guys, and just it's annoying.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me quite as much. That we buy houses because I mean those guys usually go in there. I got a family member that does it. They'll go in there and they redo the houses and they get them up for rent, and they're better than what they were.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. That stuff only happens in certain areas.
Yeah.
Like check cashing places.
Liquor
stores.
I always said my dream is to own a strip mall with a check cashing place, a liquor store, and a pawn shop. That'd be my my goal in life.
Heavily secured.
Preferably not on Woodrow Wilson or anything like that.
No. Let's see here. Running through some text messages. Speaking of text, the Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944, 769-241-1944. Mazda of Jackson phone line this morning, 601-879-0002. You want to chime in on anything we're discussing? Want to get something off your chest? Feel free to call in. If you call in, we only answer calls that we can see on the caller ID. Mm-hmm. Let's take a call from Ryan on the Mazda Jackson phone line up early this morning. What's up, brother?
Man, I got something to get off my chest, man. I'm one of the angry ones. No, I'm just tripping, man.
I stay angry.
Yeah, man. I appreciate the call right after mine yesterday from the officer, man. And it was a tragic situation, and he got shot, and that was terrible, man. But I wanted to clear something up that may not have been clear. I wasn't saying that was, a mutually exclusive thing to black folks, the anxiety. So I do recognize that with anybody getting pulled over, it could be a scary thing. But also what's not mutually exclusive to black folks is the attitude, to say, hey, I ain't giving you my license. Why you pull me over? I've seen.
Oh, that's definitely not 100%.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that because it's people that listen to the show and they only hear what they want to hear, and that's black or white. So I just wanted to make that clear that man, we at some point we all had some kind of I don't want to say animosity, but I would just say some sort of attitude when
tension
it comes to
with
cops.
The police.
Yeah, man. And one thing that I was taught, the same thing that the officer was talking about, was to cut all the lights on, make sure your hands are visible and don't be, arguing with the cop, because that's not where you argue. You argue in court, but you have to live to get to court.
Amen.
And so that's the thing, man. I just wanted to just say that. And man, I appreciate you having a show that welcomes everybody to have an opinion. And that's what's needed, man. Everybody has an opinion, and everybody has the right to be heard, man, and you allow that on the show. I don't agree with everything you guys say. Of course, that's what almost everything, man, but I appreciate you having, a platform that allows folks to come on and say what they have to say, and then you may give the other side of that, or you may even agree. So I appreciate that, man. So I just wanted to let that be known, man. And then I'm a long-time listener, and I got to get one of those shirts to piss some of my neighbors off. So I'm going to get a hoodie while it's still cold, man. So I need a medium, so I'll be hitting you up soon.
I think I got a medium left in the car tag one, in the blackout tag, by FAFO.
That's what I need.
By FAFO.com. It's a FAFO Friday shirt to mark down to $20 too. So yeah, hey Ryan, thank you, man. Look, one thing I do enjoy is I don't like screaming back and forth with people on the phone. It ain't good radio, for one thing. I've listened to other shows where people scream back and forth. We're not going to do that. You can speak your mind, get whatever off your chest, and then I will give you my opinion one way or the other. And I think that's how we work through things. There's been a lot of times people have called into the show with a bad attitude, and by the end of it, we came to some kind of middle ground. So that's what it's about. Everything ain't the internet. The internet, I wish all the people, that's why I'm streaming live on Instagram this morning, when I rarely do it, because I want those people to hear this in a long-form context, because it's easy to hear a 60-second reel or read a comment and misconstrue it. But, sometimes you're talking to knuckleheads, and you got 3 to 5 seconds to get their attention. I got their attention, but I want you to hear the long-form version of it and understand what I'm talking about. So that's what we're going to try to do.
Man, because a soundbite, man, it's like, oh, man, they get upset at the soundbite. But if they hear the entire conversation, it may change their perspective. So I like it, man. I like it. I'm going to continue to listen, man. And it's not a guilty pleasure. I like listening. So I don't hide it. It is what it is. And people don't like it, they'll be all right.
But Ryan,
y'all
brother,
take care, bro.
I appreciate your support. Thanks so much.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Yeah, good stuff there. Ryan's been me and Ryan didn't start off on the same, where we're at now.
Yeah.
I think it started out with him maybe calling me a racist in my inbox. But we've evolved.
Things change, right?
We've evolved. Speaking of giving people platforms, I decided last night that I'm done giving complete knuckleheads access to my platforms. And I went on a block spree.
I saw that
on Facebook last night. It was liberating. It was very liberating. It was like burning bras around my house last night. Just I was like, man, you know what? I'm fed up extending my platform to people who have nothing but vile things to say about me.
Yeah,
it's like this has ran its course. You know me. I'm as anti-cancel culture as it gets, but I'm also not going to. What's Kim Wade say? I'm not going to fund my own demise.
That's his saying. Okay, that's
something to that extent. It's like we're out here funding our own demise. What the Democrats have been doing to us the last few years with these crazy policies, we're paying for this with our tax dollars. Mm-hmm. Well, that's kind of how I feel about it. My time and my stress and the effort I put into building this platform. I'm not going to have somebody come in and I don't mind disagreeing with somebody,
right?
But there's a line where it goes from disagreeing to just absolute absurdity.
Yeah, I saw that some of the things that you've written about these guys that they're just kind of trolls essentially, right?
Yeah,
I mean that's what.
Well, they just trolls. I mean, it's people who want to sabotage your income and trying to ruin your life. I mean, when it crosses into the physical threat threshold, I'm done.
I was reading one of the guys that you blocked, and there was a long thread of like 80 comments under it or something. And maybe this morning, I think I saw it, or last night, I can't remember. And somebody had written that this person like lived in California and goes to WLBT site constantly. Maybe they're from Mississippi originally. I don't know.
Talking about Harold.
Is that who it is? Okay. But I was just thinking about it. I'm like, you know how busy you are, how busy I am and stuff. I'm like, when do you, like, as an adult, have time to do this? Like, this is like your what you've turned your life into. Like, I'm going on social media sites and going crazy in the comments. Like, I don't know. I just whenever, like, when does that happen?
Man, I get a few. Like, if I'm taking a poop or something, I'll get on the comments. But that's about the extent of it.
Yeah, I'll make like a joke usually is what I like doing. But other than that,
I avoid the comments. Joe Rogan, that's some of the best advice he ever gave to me and any other podcaster or radio guy or whatever is post and ghost. Mm-hmm. Avoid the comments. Just goes one or two things. You're going to get all this affirmation, and it's going to blow your ego up a little bit because you're going to think that everybody loves you and that you're bigger than you are because 10 people said you were great, or you're going to get all this trash in there, and it's going to consume you, and it's either going to tear you down and make you feel like, especially like younger girls and stuff like that, tear them down, make them feel like they're ugly, mess with their self-esteem, or then people like me who are like, all right, gloves off, let's go. And get right back nasty with them in the comments, and nothing good comes from it.
No, nothing does. And I've said this in other contexts, but similarly, that people like that start fighting with each other on Facebook or whatever, Instagram, usually it's around some sort of political issue most of the time, and
culture war, political,
something like that, and like nobody just sits there and says, you know what, Bobby from Sheboygan just said I was an idiot because I believed which way, and so now my views are changed and I'm going this way. Like, nobody ever does that. They just get madder, and it gets worse and worse and worse, and nothing ever happens from it.
That's it.
It's just, it's really, it's just almost, it's almost the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Like, I argued with that person and called them stupid about 8 times. Now they should listen to me. Like, they're never going to listen to you. They're going to hate you. So
No. I hate a lot of people.
Yeah, right, exactly. That's why they're blocked now, I guess.
Yeah, I'm done. I mean, there's some I keep on for entertainment purposes, but for the most part, it's like, I don't like you people. Mm-hmm. And it's not a black thing or a white thing or anything. It's just like, you're an a-hole.
Yeah, you just won't stop.
Yeah, it's just like, the other thing that grinds my gears that I think is funny is, like, after that incident with the kid getting killed by the cop, the cop defending himself and killing
the self-defense measure, right?
The self-defense measure, and it's like, now I keep getting bombarded with tags in other situations, things that cops have done around the country.
Yeah.
And Roderick, that listens to this show every day, an anger addict, loves to find things that cops and or white people have done and send them to me. But it's always outside the Tri-County area.
Yeah.
I'm like, Roger, I don't have to leave the Tri-County area to prove my point. You have to. Like, now, if that's the rules of engagement, and y'all just accuse me I only post things about black people, well, there's a whole lot more I could post that I don't. So, and I don't have to leave, again, I don't have to leave the Tri-County area to do it. We post about violent, insane crimes or stuff that we think are so stupid they're funny. And you get a lot of that around here too.
Yeah.
And I can't help that the majority of the people doing that just so happen to be black when the major city in the area is 90% one color. Mm-hmm. That's going to be who commits the most crime.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what color that group is. So I have no control over the fact that it's the majority black people committing the crimes around here. I mean, go to WLBT, go to WJTV, go to WAPT right now, pull it up, and look at all the pictures of the criminals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's where I get my information from.
Yeah, I mean, you're not an investigative journalist. So, I mean, I'm not a knock. It's just
not at all. Yeah. And so I just find it funny that there's always this assumption that I'm just out here randomly picking black crime. And I just pick crime that just so happens to have been committed by black people. I say it all the time. I wish half the crime around here, I wish it was 50-50 with the mugshots and the stories and all that, and it was more white people or Mexicans or anybody else other than just black people committing it. When a white person commits a crime around here and I do get to report it, I get way more clicks. And so if we're going to talk about you only do this for clicks, well, I get way more clicks when Bobby and Brandon does something insane than Dejanay in Jackson.
You know, and you said something earlier.
People are burnt out on Dejanay in Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just burnt out on it. It's not. It's just another day in Jackson, another black on black murder that they don't give a damn about unless Clay Edwards talks about it.
Well, I think, it becomes a rinse and repeat cycle in Jack, because every, like I get the WABT and LBT emails in my inbox in the morning, and it's always like so-and-so was killed on, Woody Drive, or so-and-so was, it's a constant stream of the same kind of crimes that are just going on and on and on and on. And
there's no backstory. It's just useless. Somebody backed baby in a corner and got over emotional and shot
that.
A guy for no reason.
Yeah, it's generally the same kind of crime, and so it doesn't really get sensationalized. But I mean, you said something earlier, like this week or last week, about this show actually did the most extensive coverage on the Goon Squad that I can think of, other than Jerry Mitchell, obviously, and them that tacked off their work. But and that was focusing on Rankin County crime. So it's significant. That became national news, actually.
Yeah, and they act like I didn't do that, because that content, that topic requires in-depth conversation.
Yeah,
it's not a 60-second, 90-second sizzle reel for Instagram or TikTok. It's just I can't condense that down to make it make sense in 60 to 90 seconds. It's just I can't do it. Other people can that do those true crime type things. They're better at that. I'm better at selling sizzle. And that's not a sizzle story. That's a long-form conversation.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about the Goon Squad. It's a big news story. Came out today in Mississippi Today. We're going to take a break real quick. When we come back, I think we may just start there. This is the Clay Edwards Show with SHAUN YURTKURAN. It's FAFO Friday here. That means FAFO shirts on sale on my website, buyfafo.com. No promo code needed. Shirts only $20. Get over there and get yours today. I tell you, it's the Mississippi MAGA shirt. Y'all remember how angry MAGA shirts and hats made Democrats back in 2016, 2020, until they force-fed Joe Biden to us for 4 years and realized, oh, crap, I'm suddenly MAGA. Well, FAFO has replaced MAGA as the trigger mechanism to make all the Democrats angry. Get over there, get yours today, unless you're scared. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show here live on WYAB, streaming worldwide in stunning 4K video at Save JXN on Facebook, YouTube, X, Rumble, and Instagram. This morning, we're rattling the cages over there early, getting everybody up and going. Guys, if you're looking for something to do tonight, Acme Pizza and Daiquiris, Fannin Mart on the res, right in front of the bowling alley. Get over there, see Chip Matthews and the team, enjoy some great made-from-scratch pizza, pasta, and last night they had crawfish of all things. I'm not sure if that's going to continue today or not, but follow Chip on social media at Acme Pizza and find out. It looked really, really good. And frankly, if I had seen it just a little bit earlier, I probably would have rolled right on over to Acme Pizza and Daiquiris and partaken in some mud bugs. I've had some good ones so far this year.
Now it's about that time, right? I saw Fertile Grounds having one tomorrow.
Yeah.
Having a bowl. So, I mean, but this is about, end of February.
Yeah. That's when it really gets cranked up, February. Yeah. So get out to Acme tonight. They open at 4 p.m. daily. I think they're closed on Tuesdays, but 4 p.m. to midnight. They got, I think, 12 different specialty pizzas, 9 different frozen daiquiris on tap. And did you know, we hadn't talked about them as much, but did you know that the daiquiris are available for delivery and carry out? That's right. Want to take some back to the house, doing your own thing there, having a house party, don't really know how to make daiquiris, damn sure don't have a frozen daiquiri machine to make them. Don't worry about it. Swing by Acme and let them handle all of that for you, or get them delivered on any major food delivery app. That's Acme, ACME, Pizza and Daiquiris. Fannin Mart on the Rankin County side of the reservoir, right there in front of the bowling alley. All right, SHAUN YURTKURAN. Real quick here, give out the Guns of Gear information again. Guns of Gear text line is 769-241-1944. Mazda Jackson phone line, 601-879-0002. All I ask is please stay on topic in whatever we're discussing in that current segment. SHAUN, Goon Squad, Deadman's talking. I hadn't had a chance to read it yet. I got it sent over to me late last night, but my medicine kicked in. It was nighty-night time for me. I knew I wouldn't remember it if I read it. So get us caught up here. What's going on?
Yeah, so Jerry Mitchell and his team, I think it's Brian Howie and Nate Rosenfeld, who've been here for, I guess, about a year and a half working all these goon squad stories. These guys are relentless, by the way. They keep digging up more stuff, and so they released an article this morning that's in the Mississippi Today, and it probably is also in the New York Times. They've been kind of simultaneously releasing it in both places, describing more things the goon squad did. But the biggest revelation from this, or biggest part of this, is that Christian Dedman, who's one of the ringleaders of that group and probably did some of the most vile acts, I guess you would say, he was interviewed for this, and he actually gave an interview talking about the things the goon squad did, and goes into a lot more depth about it. Especially he said, one of the things that they really, really would do was warrantless searches, and that this became so prevalent by like 2022. They were warned by the DA's office that that they noticed and they demanded they stop doing it. Like they were going into people's houses without warrants so often and making up reasons and those sorts of things that they'd were demanded they stop doing that because I assume they were like, we can't prosecute these cases because you don't have a warrant.
The fruit from the poisonous tree.
Correct. That's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. So they're saying, hey, you guys got to stop it, but they're doing it so much and making up reasons and whatnot to do that. Obviously, he describes like continued humiliation of suspects and defendants and all that kind of stuff, and this was way more extensive than, obviously, and we know that from the other reporting that they've done, way more extensive than just those two fellows out there. And
let me ask this again. I hadn't had a chance to read it yet,
sure.
But I was having a conversation with. I think it was me and you having a conversation. Actually, I said it feels like Dedman has every reason to tell the truth and lie.
Yeah, I think so.
How does it come across to you? Does it feel like sour grapes? Does it feel like he's telling the truth?
Yeah, I think.
Of course, it's easy to believe.
It's easy, right?
Based on everything we've read, beyond just what happened at that house in Prentice. Is that where it was?
Cato area. It's close to where I went to high school.
Whatever the other house.
The
incident with the two black dudes. Like all the other incidents that we read, which frankly, other than getting shot, were way more. Well, easy for me to say. Some of them other incidents were way more violent and vile and disgusting than that. Some of the assaults, the sexual assault type stuff, and I don't mean man raping woman type thing, but I mean man violating other men type stuff.
I think Dedman was one of the guys that did that.
Yeah. I want to make sure I'm clear. It was exclusively Dedman on the sexual stuff.
And they had
we'll just leave it at that.
I mean, there was stuff like, remember they burned a nutcracker to somebody's leg, and I mean, just all this.
That's
kind
the
of
one.
stuff.
Like, I want y'all to think about that, like an aluminum nutcracker. The kind you put like a pecan in and crack it.
Oh, I'm glad you're describing it, because when I first read the article, I went to like Christmas nutcracker. I'm like, they burned a Christmas nutcracker? Like, how did they do that?
Like basically like a pair of pliers, sort of.
Yeah.
They're aluminum, so they will melt easy. Well, you got to get them hot, and they were dripping that melting metal onto people's inner thighs.
They were doing a lot. I mean, that was like a year ago when we were going through all this stuff, and
So I guess my point being, knowing all that, hearing about anything else it comes from a sense of he's probably telling the truth, or it's believable anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he did. It sounds to me. I mean, I believe him. Just reading this, because it's consistent with everything else they did. Now, that's not to say that he's not going to get some benefit. I think what he's hoping for is what's called a downward departure in the federal system, that may be by testifying against. Because here he describes, and there's a portion of it right here. It says there is a Devin said for the sheriff, talking about Sheriff Bailey, to get on TV and act as if we're just some crazy guys that slipped through the cracks is insane, political, and misleading. He said he's seen more than a dozen different, referring to Bailey, dozen different officers use excessive force, but I'm the one paying the price for it. So obviously he's mad because he's got, I think, he got like 40 years or something like that. And he's hoping, he wants a benefit for sure. He wants the feds to, you can do a downward departure is what I've been, I don't do as much federal court work, but that's what it's been related to me, that they could reduce his sentence if he testifies against these. It seems like he's set up to testify against other officers, potentially the sheriff, I would think. And I mean, that's what I think he said, maybe like a total of 12, a dozen different officers.
Yeah, I've heard, I've heard other guys that are, that are worried and that have possibly been involved and some stuff, and what level, what they would do, is it just maybe warrantless searches? I say just, but compared to violence or assaults, just warrantless searches. You've heard a lot of stuff, and I mean, I think and I'm gonna speak just from a rank Antonian at this point. Mm-hmm. I think I, like most over there, are ready to see it come to an end. And what I mean by that is not stick our heads in the sand and ignore it. whatever needs to happen, let's get to a resolution and let's get on the other side of this.
Yeah, I could sure, because it's just putting, a stain on the county, which sucks. I mean, I think the people that have done these things need to be brought to justice, and I'm always going to be an advocate of that. There's a few other issues here. So there was what Debman describes as people that pled guilty to these crimes, that there were these warrantless searches, and then they went to jail, even though sometimes they were innocent. They didn't have any drugs, or they kind of set them up. If you read the article, it describes that. So there needs to be a process to review those cases, the people that pled guilty, based on maybe almost like a coercion from the goon squad and whatnot. Christy Noble, who's with the Office of Capital Post Conviction, is interviewed, and they review those for what's called a post conviction relief remedies, and they're trying to get some funding from the state to do that, to expand that program, which I think is a good idea for them to be, because I think there could be potentially hundreds of cases that people were kind of pushed into pleading guilty. I'm not, because the goon squad planted evidence on them, or, like made up facts. And that's kind of what Demmon's describing in here. And those people, wrongfully went to jail. And they interview a few of those people in the article, that there were situations like that.
Yeah, and I'm curious here, and I'm just playing a little devil's advocate here. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, were these just random people, like there's Ashley driving down the road, I don't know her, but let's go plant some dope on her and send her to jail? Or are these people who were kind of habitual offenders in a sort, but maybe they couldn't quite catch them, or they, just, we're going to get you one day, we're just going to expedite the process? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think it is the latter, what you're describing there. I think most of the time it's not going to be, I hate to say this, me or you, right? Because we're not involved.
Somebody's not involved in this lifestyle. And I'm not saying that's right.
No, I don't think
so either. I want to make sure
either.
I'm clear. I'm just kind of asking the question, playing a little devil's advocate. Were these people that were going to get tripped up in a drug case at some point anyway, or had skirted and got out from one they probably shouldn't have, and they're like, no, we're gonna make sure we get you this time?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right.
I don't know if I can say that any clearer. I hope I'm articulating that properly.
Yeah, is there people that are already mixed up in bad stuff?
Yeah.
I think, yes, to a certain extent, that's probably who it is, because that's easy pickings for you.
Right.
And there's a couple of those guys that you read in this article. This one man describes that happening to him, and he's Lane Fikes of Carthage. But he was an addict for a very long time.
Yeah.
So he fell in a situation where they did that, but it wasn't like he was involved in that life, obviously. And I think that's what you're kind of saying.
And we got to take a break real quick. But I wonder. This is polishing a turd right here, and I know it's going to come across like that, because I guess that's what it is.
It's just a reality what you're saying. I don't understand.
But I wonder if maybe him getting hung up and caught up and maybe having to go to jail, did that get him sober and help change his life?
Possibly. I don't know about, I don't know whether, I was talking about this on the live with Lindsay last night. I don't know that jail sobers people up, because what I've heard from most people, you can get more there easier than you can, on the street. So, but this guy did, his life, he doesn't attribute it to the goon squad, obviously. He's now like part of a leader in Celebrate Recovery.
That's great.
He's been sober since 2016. So wonderful stuff. Story from that.
Maybe we need to talk to him. Let's take a break here real quick, and we'll be right back. We're going to continue on with the goon squad stuff here through the end of the first hour at least. And we got some good text messages and stuff from you guys, and I see the comment section lit up online. So we will be right back on the Clay Edwards Show with SHAUN YURTKURAN. Breaking rules when necessary. Welcome back in to the most incendiary show on the RADIO 103.9 FM WYAB. This is the Clay Edwards Show with SHAUN YURTKURAN on FAFO. That's a fool around. Since we're on the radio, fool around and find out Friday here. Be sure to swing by the website, buyfafo.com, and grab you a shirt, an FAFO shirt, only $20. We've even got a few hats left. When they're gone for the foreseeable future till we get them back in stock. And today at noon, SHAUN, across all my social media platforms, I am dropping this year's St. Patty's Day FAFO shirt, brand new design.
You didn't even tell me you did one.
Exclusively for the St. Patty's Day parade this year.
It's going to look a little different.
It's going to be completely different, but it is FAFO. Put a new logo. It's going to have some sleeve art on it too, commemorating this year's parade and everything. It's going to be green, of course. We're going to drop that at noon today. It'll be an exclusive pre-order only,
like a sneaker drop.
Yeah, I'm not getting any extra made. I'm not getting stuck with any shirts.
Yeah.
What we Pre-sale is what we will have. And I say that. I mean, if we end up pre-selling 200, I may print 300. Because obviously people will want one, and then that 2 or 3 days before, it's a mad rush for people trying to buy green shirts. So we may roll the dice, but don't anticipate it. Don't anticipate it. But stay tuned to my social media for that. Going to do a shirt drop today. Pretty excited about it. Shout out to Michael Applewhite at Shirt Shop Graphics in Byram for working with me, and he's my shirt guy. So, this segment brought to you by our friends over at Martin's Downtown and Martin's Livingston. Today is a fried chicken Friday. Need I say more? Need I say more? Let's look real quick before we jump back into the Goon Squad stuff and just tell you who the live entertainment is tonight downtown at Martin's. Hey, coming up real quick, coming up on March 14th, they've got Pandora's Box, the ultimate Aerosmith tribute. That's going to be awesome.
Where, that Martin's?
Yep, Martin's. Yep.
Which was the date on that?
It's March 14th.
Oh, nice.
I think that's a Friday night.
That's Friday night. Yeah.
Yep. Coming up on March 8th, they've got a big rave going on called Electronically Speaking. You can check that out. And then, also February's food special is they got catfish tacos all February. So check that out. Check out their Facebook pages, just Martin's Downtown or Martin's Livingston, and see what all is coming up this weekend and in the future, and get your calendars lined up and ready. Always some great entertainment, both locations. Martin's.
Catfish tacos, by the way, I had them last week when I was in the trial. We went to have lunch there waiting on the jury, and they're awesome.
They look phenomenal.
They're really good.
They look phenomenal.
Just so everybody knows.
Good deal. All right, Sean, pick back up. So we left off at Deadman. Talking about a guy. We're talking about them doing some raids, warrantless raids or searches or whatever. And let's go to whatever the next chapter is.
Sure. I mean, what we were leaving off is they interviewed in this article several guys that actually had, claimed to be wrongfully convicted because of the Goon Squad. Basically they're planting evidence on them, or, claiming that they had drugs, and basically, or they were on videos. And some of these guys described that there was actually no videos of them doing this, and they were kind of forced to, plead guilty because they would have got more time, and those sorts of situations. So that's, and kind of the implication of all this is that there was a lot of people that pled guilty because they were fearful of getting a lot more time in jail in Rankin County.
Hold that thought real quick. Sure. I just got to give a shout out because somebody's got their kid in the car listening that just bought some shirts. Gotcha. Shout out to Christy. I don't want to say her last name. Shout out to Christy and her kid in the car. Thanks for the Snapchat. Thanks for listening, and thanks for buying a shirt.
Awesome.
I don't do that too often, but when we've got kids, I want the kid to hear themselves on the radio. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So so there's the article's explaining, and I've heard this around the legal community quite a bit, so I do understand what it's saying, that a lot of people in Rankin County is known for, look, you go to trial, you're gonna get convicted. I mean, white people will convict their mother. Like, I've always said that. It's just,
I don't even know why that's a surprise.
It is the way it is.
That's why I laugh. When people talk about the crime happens everywhere crowd, when they get mad at me about the stuff in Jackson, I'm like, y'all don't understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, when it happens in Rankin County, we throw away the key.
It's accurate. And for some reason, Tucker, you always you're like, okay, well, the black people are angry. White people are angry too, and they get angry, and people get convicted. Like, literally, it doesn't matter.
We Sean, I don't mean to step on your toes here, but I talk about a lot here lately, and it's been kind of stemming from the school choice conversation and having to make tough decisions. And you move to, say, Pearl, Brandon, Flowood, wherever, these places that don't mess around with crime. And they do a lot of proactive broken window policing. And I know I always just talk about Rankin County. My Madison County folks, I'm talking about y'all too, Gluckstadt, Ridgeland, so on and so forth. But I live in Rankin, so it's easier for me to talk about it. You move out there, and you got to make some sacrifices.
Yeah.
If you like to live a little loosey-goosey lifestyle, if you driving around after you've been drinking a little bit, you got a much higher chance of getting the DUI.
Oh, yeah. Just a bit.
If you do any shenanigans, you're probably going to go to jail. If your window tint's too dark, which I completely disagree with, but you're probably going to get pulled over for that. I know Gluckstadt is hell on window tint.
Oh.
But you understand that when they police the little things, that people know, hey, bro, I ain't doing the big things out here. I can't get away. I go 1 mile over the speed limit, they pull me over. My window tint's too dark, they pull me over. All that stuff. So I ain't riding dirty through here because there's a good chance I'm going to get pulled over. It prevents bigger crimes. And I don't know what my point was there, but talk about fooling around and finding out in Rankin County.
Well, I think that was
But that's why we don't want that nonsense over there. And that's why we sit there and say, Jackson, tighten your belt buckle up like we have. We've had to make tough decisions to live over here. I mean, it's fun, it's quality of life stuff, but you understand that there's sacrifices you have to make when you want to live in a low crime, high quality of life area. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I mean, so the so these people that have been arrested, even if they didn't do it, the goon squad says, "Hey, I got some evidence on you," and they're the police, and your options are either go to trial, get convicted, and get 1 million years, or take this plea deal where you'll be out in 3 to 5 years, whatever it is. Well, if you weigh that, the odds on that, well, you're going to end up taking the plea deal, and that's what they're saying in the article. And I've heard that from tons of lawyers around town, and that's something that you just have to be cognizant of.
I wonder what is the plea to trial ratio in Rankin County?
I don't know. I'm sure it's pretty high, though. I would think.
Is it higher? And just generally speaking, I mean, just everywhere.
Absolutely. I mean, the criminal justice system relies on plea bargains because you can't have. You got to think about it. You got 52 weeks in a year.
Yeah.
So like the most you could have if you tried a criminal case every week is 52 trials. And that's impossible because there's civil weeks and you can't get a case ready it's impossible to do that. So, you're looking at on average, this is just my experience at the DA's office in Hinds County. I think the most I ever tried in 1 year was probably like 20, which is quite a bit actually. Cause then there's of course the judges who got civil weeks and there's, Christmas and there was like this. I mean, you can't. So yeah, you have to because the system would just grind if all the defendants were like, we're not taking any deals, like the system would grind to a halt. There's just no way to process all of that in actual trial. So, and that's, and I think that, the people that were charged with these crimes saw that clearly if they got convicted, which they would, because think about it, Clay, like this guy from, Robin Hood or wherever we were talking about at the break, the police testify, yes, Joe Blow had some meth on him and we found it. Even if he didn't, the jury's going to be like, well, look at that guy from Robin Hood, we're going to convict him.
That's stereotype.
I mean, that's what would happen. And
let this be a point here, too, for all the people who say we only talk about black crime. Here we are talking about white cops that committed crimes and white criminals that went to jail, but for being set up. Like the things that y'all constantly tell me only happen to black people, I'm sitting here showing you and telling you also happen to white people.
Exactly. And and absolutely do. And there's plenty of people that described in the article. There's plenty of people that I've talked to that describe it happening to them out there. And, of course, like a lot of times when you talk to people that, hey, I didn't do it, you're like, yeah, right. But a lot of these things, it is true. And they, and so that's what happened. And, it's unfortunate, but I mean, that's kind of the system. So also it goes into here, there's got to be something done about the cases that folks pled guilty to that didn't do it. I think we all want to,
We'll hit that. We got to take a break real quick. We'll be right back on WYAB. All right, online audience, we're going to stay with y'all and pick this conversation back up because we're going to run out of time if we don't. Then we got a 7-minute break at the top of the hour. So, all right, Sean, so we're at the point where we say you were saying that something's got to be done about these cases that were obviously setups.
Yeah, and the thing is in the district attorney's office, they don't have the manpower to review it. I mean, that's not what they do. Also, they have kind of a conflict because they prosecuted the cases. So like they can't be, I'm not saying they're being biased. I'm just saying there's a legal conflict in my mind that they'd have to, that they couldn't, I don't think, get past because they actually were the prosecutorial agency. So what you need is an independent group. Chrissy Noble's quoted an article, again, with the Office of Post-Capital Conviction. And I think they're trying to get some funding from the legislature right now. And they could have a team to come in and go through all these, which is going to be extensive. Think about it, because you got to have investigators to go out and investigate this, because you can't take everybody's word, because everybody's gonna be like, I didn't have the dope. I mean, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And everybody's not being honest. So you have to like shuffle through what's true and what's not.
What you need, I mean, obviously that, but also what you need is the Goon Squad guys to sit down and tell you, who did you set up? Who did you not? I can't remember all of them, but I bet you they remember a big chunk of them.
Sure.
And, and maybe reward them with a little time off. I don't know.
I'm with you on that. Yeah.
You're not going to, they don't have any incentive to just do it. They're in jail for it.
Yeah.
But maybe, a little bit of a resolution type thing.
Yeah, with some sort of agreement with the feds.
Reconciliation is what I was looking for.
How much,
resolution.
how much like cooperation they give, will that give them what's called that downward departure that I was talking about?
Yeah.
I think that would help. I think that's the first step. You need to do
that.
That
Means early release.
Yeah, like sometimes
Time
just to knock time off their federal sentence. The second step is also, I think, you were talking about how the county wants to get past this and they just want something to happen. Well, the easiest way to do that to me is have state prosecutions, which again, the DA's office can't do because they would have a conflict. You would have to bring in the Attorney General's office. Now, the Attorney General's office is the appropriate agency for a state prosecution of this. Debman is saying in this article, there are other officers that I witnessed do all this stuff, right? And they need to interview him. They need to have their investigators go over there, interview him, and see if there's any, and present some of this, if they can, if there's enough evidence to a Rankin County grand jury. And they can have state court prosecutions of these guys. And that's what I would recommend them doing as soon as they can. And I think they should have been on that already. And I've said that for a long time. Now, because the feds, I don't know whether they're still in this, if they're still, they kind of come and go. You don't know. But we kind of, Kim Wade, I said yesterday, said something that I really liked on his interview with WLBT is like, we can't always rely on everybody else. We got to police our own. We got to take care of ourselves. And I think that, the Attorney General's office is the state Attorney General's office. They're the appropriate agency to do this. They could investigate this. There's obviously plenty of other there's other officers that were involved in this, according to him, to be believed. Maybe they won't find any corroborating evidence. I don't know, but it's something they should look into.
Well, sure. I mean, if you've got the police admitting that they did this, you've got to look into it. I mean, there's going to be lawsuits galore.
Sure.
I mean, they're going to have to look into a bunch of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean
they're going to have to, and we need that. We need healing and reconciliation. Mm-hmm. And because we got to be able to trust our law enforcement, which I do. I mean, I think they're bad apples. I mean, I do trust them out there. I mean, easy for me to say it didn't happen to me. But, I mean, I think there does need to be some resolution there. Because, I mean, look, man, if people are sitting there straddled with a felony they didn't commit.
It sucks.
It sucks. You can't vote, can't have a gun, but also it goes back to you were playing with fire and you got burned.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying that means that they should have got set up.
Sure, I
if I'm saying that means I'm saying I should have gotten set up and just because I got away with my shenanigans.
I mean, bad things happen when you're, I get it.
All right, we're coming back from break. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. Sorry for the talking over the intro there, but we get fired up and it happens like that sometimes. We talked through the break there about what we were just discussing, coming up with some kind of reconciliation for these guys and girls that were falsely or wrongly convicted, allegedly, and how you work that out. You can go back and listen to that on the podcast or the live stream when we're done today because we're running out of time for hour one. We got a whole nother hour to go, though. The mayor of Jackson made a huge announcement yesterday. They sent out a press release, major announcement at the mayor's press briefing. What was it? What was it? Was it Thayer Hall reopening?
No, it's not.
Was it a major concert festival coming to town? Was it the mayor finally getting his Topgolf? Was it tearing down the Hotel O? If you guessed tearing down the Hotel O as a major press conference event, yes, you would have been correct. That's right. They want a cookie for doing what they supposed to be doing. We'll be right back with SHAUN YURTKURAN on the Clay Edwards Show. Boom goes the dynamite. You've tuned back in to the most incendiary show on the RADIO on a FAFO Friday. You got Clay Edwards. You got SHAUN YURTKURAN. Got a whole nother hour to go here on 103.9 FM WYAB. And, of course, streaming in stunning 4K video at Save JXN on Facebook, YouTube, X, Rumble, and Instagram. Today, shout out to all the Instagram anger addicts over there. We got Sean here in the studio. This segment is brought to you by our good friends over at Mercy House Adult and Teen Challenge. Guys, down at Crystal Springs, Mississippi, lies Mercy House Adult and Teen Challenge Automotive Center, or Mercy House Auto Center. You can check them out online, mercyhouseautocenter.com. If you're looking for an affordable vehicle under $20,000, they got you covered there at Mercy House Auto Center. But the main reason that they are a partner here on the show is to help drive vehicle donations to their program. And look, you're not just giving a vehicle away, you are also getting a tax write-off for that thing. That's right. That's right. Maybe that vehicle is worth $1,000 sitting there if you tried to sell it. But if you donate it to them, they recon it and turn around and sell it for $4,000 or $5,000. You get the tax write-off for that amount if you so choose. And look, business owners, you got a fleet of vehicles that have, they're at their point where it's more cost efficient to buy new ones than it is to continue racking up miles and maintenance costs on those. How about instead of trading them in and getting pennies on the dollar from a dealership, you donate them to Mercy House and get that big old tax write-off there for your business. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Reach out to them, mercyhouseautocenter.com. And the great thing about it is, since they're a 501c3 or 501c3, I always get that confused. Since they're a charitable organization, again, that is a tax write-off for you. And look, man, what they're doing is they run an addiction recovery center called Mercy House Adult and Teen Challenge. And the money made from the dealership goes to fund that operation and help put fathers back in homes and beat addictions, so we don't have a city like Jackson, Mississippi, for example. You see what happens when you have fatherless homes and fatherless teens running amok. We're going to get those fathers back in the homes and help prevent stuff like that. So check them out online, mercyhouseautocenter.com. Let's go straight to the phones here on the Mazda of Jackson phone line. I believe we got Miss Charolette Reeves wants to tell you all about an event coming up here, speaking of Jackson. Miss Charlotte, you there?
Hey, yes, I am. Good morning, Clay. Good morning, Shaun. How are y'all doing today?
We're doing great.
Great. Well, I want to extend this invitation to the two of y'all and to all of your great listeners. Okay, tomorrow we're having a Jacksonian mayoral face-off at Dueling Hall, and from 11 to 2. And this is something that I don't believe most of us have ever seen before. Usually it's the forums that can kind of get boring, the same 3 questions asked, and you just sit there and listen. Well, we're going to have those questions already asked and answered by these candidates. We have 12 participating candidates out of all the 20, 30, however many have signed up. So what they're going to do, the candidates are going to ask the candidates questions. So this is going to be, I think, a lot of fun, informative, and something that we just don't normally see.
What? Who's coming to that, Charlotte?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Who's participating?
Sorry.
Oh, okay. This is on behalf of Jacksonians.
What candidates? What candidates?
Is putting this on, but the candidates really are the 12 major candidates. The mayor.
The mayor will be there.
Pardon?
The mayor will be there.
That's what his office has told us, so we're certainly counting on it. He's on the agenda, and so it's going to be interesting. But they say he's going to be there, and the other 12 candidates are the ones that we're all familiar with, the ones whose names just were thrown in that really I'm not familiar with. A lot of folks aren't. They're not coming, but the 12 major ones: David Archie, Kim Wade. The whole list, Marcus.
Sure.
Marcus
Do you need
Wallace,
tickets?
All of those.
Do you need tickets to this, or how does this work? Because
this
sounds pretty interesting, actually. Now.
Yeah, it is. It's a free event, and we were asking people to, if they could go on Eventbrite and sign up, give us some idea. We already have well over 100 already signed up on Eventbrite, but no, if you don't have time or don't know how to do that, just come on to Dueling Hall from 11 to 2. Now, another great thing about this, we're going to have all 12 of these major players in one room. So, you don't have to go tracking them down if you want to ask them a question, because we will have, round 1 for them to ask questions of each other, each candidate.
So you're telling me that Kim gets to ask questions of Chokwe? I'm coming. I'm coming.
That's right. That's right.
Is David Archie going to crow hop anybody?
Well, I don't know. You know what? Either I might have to jump in and referee a little bit, or either you or Clay can referee. No. We're going to have decorum.
Charlotte, I got a question. Do you still have to have your proof of vaccination to get in Dueling Hall?
Did you used to?
Uh-huh.
No. Well, hey, if they do, we're not going to go along with it. But I know they don't. But I did not know that was in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But,
they
but no,
participated
we're going to
in
have
that.
a lot of fun. We're going to have food trucks out in the parking lot. It's going to be food trucks. We're going to have door prizes.
Oh, that sounds
it's going to
great.
be something we've not seen before.
That's
I think
it's exciting.
What
Sounds
time
really
does it
exciting.
start?
11 o'clock. 11 to 2. Of course, if you want to get there a little early, you're certainly welcome to. But it's from 11 to 2. And when you come there, we're going to have a sheet of paper with all of the 8 questions and answers that the candidates have already given short answers to, that you can take home, read over it, digest, what each one says about those 3 major questions that we get so tired of sitting at a forum and listening to the same old.
Charlotte, do the audience get to ask questions, or is that like a town hall? Or something?
Yes, we're going to play this by ear. We'll probably, since this is something we've never done, hadn't been done before. So yes, we will. I feel sure give the audience a chance to ask some questions.
Okay.
Because we're going to have a round 1, and then after round 1, it'll be time to visit with the audience, get some food, do things like that. Then we're going to have a round 2, and depending on how this goes with the candidates asking the candidates questions, we will continue that, or we'll throw it out to the audience. One way or the other, the audience will be able to ask some questions.
So if I were to ask a question about, I don't know, a yacht or some campaign checks, that's a perfectly appropriate question to ask.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Yeah, I was kidding. I was saying if I have a question about a yacht in Miami, that might be an okay
question.
You
can ask anything you want.
Ask him who that girl on the private jet flying back was.
I forgot about that one. Yeah.
Whose girlfriend or friend was that flew back on the Fed jet?
I don't have any other question for any other candidate because I just have questions for one candidate. So.
Okay, well, and you know what? It might be all questions for one candidate. But every candidate is going to have an opportunity. They're going to draw numbers when they get there. So instead of going down the line saying, okay, you're the first in line, you're the next. No, they're going to draw numbers. So however they are sitting up on the stage, when we call that next number, that's the person, no matter where they're sitting, that's the next person that's going to get to ask a question.
I got you.
All right, Miss Charlotte. Tomorrow,
thanks. Anyway, I
11 to 2, Dueling Hall.
There at Dueling Hall, yes, Dueling Hall, 11 to 2, and come for a lot of fun and a lot of good information.
Sounds good. Mm-hmm. Good luck with
Hope to see y'all there. Okay. Shaun, come up and speak to me. I haven't met you actually in person, I don't believe.
Okay,
but
I'll do
looking forward to meeting you.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Sounds good.
Good luck with it, Charlotte.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. That's going to run right off. That's going to run off the rails. That'll be entertaining. I'm not going, but that'll be entertaining.
Oh man, you should come.
Probably not going to make it.
You know, the my question would obviously, the choke way would be something about the yacht or the campaign checks, and then they're like, well, you got to ask, equal questions to all the candidates. I'd be like, Kim, where did you get that suit? This is the way my questions would go.
Did you do jiu-jitsu this morning?
Did you work out this morning, Kim? That's it's going to be very biased.
Well,
I
think it's kind of fine. I kind of like the idea of the head set aside.
Socrates
and Chokwe having to face off. I mean, talk about knowing where the bodies are buried, allegedly, of course.
I thought, I'm glad you brought that up. So I was trying to take a picture of Socrates' campaign sign right on Woodrow Wilson and State Street yesterday, close to my house. And I saw one for Zach Service, and then there was some other guy. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, are we in a dystopian nightmare? You know what I'm trying to say? It's just I just feel like this is like an alternate reality, or like the alternate 1985. What is going on here? You know what I mean? Socrates, and then everybody, and nothing against Zach or anything. I'm just saying everybody and their mom is running for mayor. The mayor is indicted. This is a effing joke.
Do you think Socrates is running because he's pissed off about what happened with the Metro?
He might be. I was surprised why he'd run for mayor. Why would if you're Socrates, why would you want to run for mayor? It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean,
because here's the deal. If Socrates wants to win, he's got the money.
He does.
I mean, he could. I mean, all joking aside,
yeah.
I mean, he's very well connected,
big time.
He's People know his name.
He might actually do a good job too. I don't know.
Yeah,
know?
I mean,
he's competent.
Absolutely, he's a nice guy. I've met Socrates. Actually, a very, very good impression of him. He was very nice to me when I met him and stuff. I mean, I roasted him on stage.
Yeah,
but it was a roast. That's what you're supposed to do.
He's laughing all the way to the bank.
He is, and I ain't mad at him for taking advantage of the system. And that's what he did. He took advantage of the system, and made a lot of money
for decades.
And it's like when Donald Trump roasted Hillary when she said, "You didn't pay any taxes last year." He's like, "Well, it was y'all's tax code that I took advantage of. Change it if you don't like it." And that's how I feel about Socrates. I ain't got nothing bad to say about that man.
Was it "Don't hate the player, hate the game"?
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
I mean,
and so would he do a good job? Probably. I guess my point is, if he's serious, he's got long money. He needs to ramp it up and start doing some real promotion outside. I mean, I just haven't seen it, but look, I live in a different bubble, so it's a good chance that I don't see it. But I'm seeing a lot of other people's stuff. Maybe just because they're active on social media. And I'm gonna be honest. I don't know how important social media is to winning a mayoral election.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
I truly don't, because maybe in a town like Brandon, something like that, but in Jackson, because if social media plays a big role, there's no way Chalkway won last year.
Yeah,
won last time.
Exactly. That's a good point. And I see a lot of these candidates, whether they're running for mayor or other positions, are just social media pontificating a lot and running on social media. And I don't think that's a good strategy either. I saw there's one, I've been getting mailers from people. People don't realize that postcards work a lot. Yeah. Like knocking on doors, canvassing, that works.
That's how you, because there's people who are extremely popular online and never win elections. Like you honestly, you see that all the time, whether it's national, statewide type stuff, whatever. There's these candidates that pop up. They're super duper popular on social media because they built a platform and built followers. But what people don't take into account are those followers in your voting precinct, in your area, and they're usually not.
They're not.
It's like the chick in Arizona,
Carrie
Lake, massive following nationally.
Yeah.
But in Arizona, obviously it doesn't work out for her. Now, we can argue about some of those being stolen, yada, yada, yada. I'm just using her as my example. You can have 1 million followers, but if 900,000 of them are from out of state.
You can't live in Sheboygan and you're in Phoenix, that's a problem for you. I think that's true. I think also it's we talk about the bubbles. People are in political bubbles, the courthouse bubble. I think people get in like a social media bubble, 100%, and they just like, oh man, well I'm just social.
It happens
media
with bands a lot.
Bands,
a band would call me to play. Like, oh man, we've got 1 million followers. Well, how many do you have in Jackson, Mississippi? Mm-hmm. Because that's all that really matters. And I've learned that the hard way, because I early on into the big Instagram bubble and some of these other social media bubbles. You would look at them. Oh, how does that mean? 1 million people follow them? They've got 100 million downloads. Yeah, well, they may not have any of that here.
No, it's and also like you brought up the local election portion. If like say you're running my Ward 7, there, I'm not voting for you unless I've met you. Like I'm not voting for anybody I've not met, because it's such a small area that I feel like I know everybody in my neighborhood and been there. I've lived there since the summer of 2000. And off and on pretty much, but most of the time. And so if I haven't met you, I'm not voting for you. And I feel like that is a lot of people in smaller localized elections where I just kind of have to know who you are. Mm-hmm. It's not like the presidency, or Senate or whatever it is. So, I think the social media push is not effective in that. The effective part is knocking on people's doors, going to little community meetings. I know the manship does that and stuff like that. I think that's effective for those kinds of elections.
Let's take a break. We'll be right back with SHAUN YURTKURAN on WYAB. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. Guys, it is time for our What's on the Blue Plate Today segment real quick. Let's start over on the reservoir there at McBee's. They've been buzzing the res since 1982. It's like Fried Catfish Friday, starting at 11 a.m. to 2. But, hey, they've also got some everyday meats available. Hamburger steak, fried or grilled chicken breast, and the country fried steak. It's all hand-battered from scratch, never frozen at McBee's. Then we hit our good friends over at Burgers Blues Barbecue, Flowood, downtown Brandon, and, of course, Madison. The Blue Plate special of the day is, hey, look, don't forget about the catering, B3 Catering. They can do it all for you, from 2 to 3 people at the office to 5,000. They got you covered, B3 Catering. But today the special is red beans and rice with sausage, hamburger steak, and, of course, it's a fried fish Friday over at Burgers Blues Barbecue as well. The sides today are turnip greens, fried okra, and green beans with cornbread, all only $12.50. You can't beat that. Check them out online, burgersblues.com. And let's take it home with Martin's. We talked about it earlier, but Martin's Blue Plate specials of the day at both locations, Livingston and downtown Jackson. Skirt! Not a fried fish Friday. It's a fried chicken Friday at Martin's downtown. Their award-winning fried chicken. And, of course, the full menu's available. They keep about 8 to 12 different sides available at all times. So you got plenty of options to go with that fried fish. And they got really, really good mozzarella sticks there, too, by the way. And their salads are great as well. So check out Martin's, both locations. Burgers and Blues. Burgers Blues Barbecue, all 3 locations. And, of course, McBee's. That's your Blue Plate rundown of the day. And don't forget the Manship. They've got a different Blue Plate every day, every week. It's not a fixed menu, so I can't tell you what they have, but it's only $15 to eat at the Manship, and you get a plate full of home-cooked food. And, look, you can't beat that from a restaurant like Manship.
No, it's terrific.
And don't forget their happy hour specials. Wood-fired pizzas, half price. And check out their whiskey of the day deals and more at the Manship. All right, Sean, something that I've been wanting to play here real quick, because I want to jump into this methamphetamine bill.
Yeah.
But old Jasmine Crockett, she's the new face of the Democrat Party as they continue to be lost and unable to find their way and understand what Americans want, and they haven't quite figured out why they've lost elections. Jasmine says we ain't in the business of giving Americans $5,000. So you've heard about Elon and Trump suggesting that Americans could get a dividend from this money.
Correct. Yes.
Saved. I mean, how do you feel about that? You like that?
I don't. If the numbers are accurate, I don't know that we've seen. I haven't looked at the numbers. If they're able to do that, if they were able to do that, sure.
Well, we've been doing a lot of things being able to do.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if they're able to do that,
just saying, it all works out. They're able to do it.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, I wouldn't. No, I'll take money.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say no.
Well, Jasmine is a complete idiot. But she's entertaining. But this is the problem. We send idiots to D.C., and that's when we end up with stuff like this. Now, I haven't listened to this clip. I don't know that I've got the right clip. It looks like I do. It's got the right caption. But I thought this was on The View, but this is on ABC News here. Let's take a listen to what Jasmine seems to think about the $5,000 return.
Now, President Trump says he likes the idea of giving some of the savings from DOGE back to Americans as kind of a dividend. Would you support that?
Listen, he's just telling a lie. He's not the one that had anything to do with the $1,200 refunds that people had during the midst of COVID. That was done by a Democratic House and Democratic Senate. Right now, what they're going to do is say, hey, we want to give you a refund, but Congress won't let us, because they already know that there's just no money for that. The only reason that those refunds came before was because we were living in different times. This was a time in which hopefully we won't ever go through again. We had a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic. The bad part is that I don't know if it's once in a lifetime, because we know that Ebola, unfortunately, was detected right here in New York here recently. And if we continue down this road of getting rid of scientists or deciding that we don't want to rely on experts as it relates to what they're telling us to do, or we don't want to deal with vaccines and medicine in this country, then we may be facing not only our next pandemic, but our next 2, 3, or 4 pandemics because of their incompetence. So no, we are not in the business of giving out money. And honestly, I don't know what $5,000 will do for you.
That's really good messaging from the Democrats. I don't know what $5,000 would do for you. The audacity of somebody to tell Americans what $5,000 could or couldn't do for you. I mean, tell me you're being paid off without telling me you're being paid off.
Yeah, I mean, well,
Ebola? She tied Ebola into that?
Which, yeah, I mean, the Democratic Party's had a severe messaging problem. I think that, we've discussed before, and that's something that doesn't seem like they really want to fix. According to, I was watching some of the, those DNC elections and whatnot, and it was like I guess nobody really learned anything from the last election. The only one I hear really talking pretty hard is James Carville. Of course now he's backtracking because he thought Kamala was going to win, but now he's saying here's the problems, and he was saying them before what the issues were. So I don't know. I don't think it feels like it's kind of like they're stuck in like groupthink. I guess, and like we've been doing this, so we're on this, and it's obviously didn't work. So if they don't, if they're not getting it yet. I don't know. I mean, I figured the election they would get it after that, but apparently not.
I mean, they keep trotting out these idiots. I mean, she's clear. They're clearly putting a little juice behind her because they're putting her on The View, and you're seeing more and more Jasmine Crockett on bigger platforms. Mm-hmm. I mean, is that? I mean, I know that the Democrat Party is a lot of gay men and black women. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's their base: effeminate men and black women. But we've proven that you're not going to win, and currently you're not going to win national elections with that as your core.
No, I mean, you can't do that. I think losing the popular vote, I think, should have been enough, something that Democrats didn't think was possible. I mean, it wasn't. That was the first time in 20 years that it happened. If you're not going to focus on getting the voters that you lost to Trump back, you can't win. I mean, that's just the reality of it. I think. I mean, you have to. The best thing I heard for the last few years, and you've heard it too, everybody has, it's like you have to be for something, not against it. Like you can't win an election by being just against stuff. You got to be for something. The Democratic Party right now has a problem. Like they don't really know what they're for, and the things they're for aren't really resonating with voters. So like they have to come up with like actual policy agenda that they're for that voters like, and they don't really have that going on right now very well.
I mean, the majority of Americans didn't like DEI.
Yeah.
The majority of Americans didn't like an open border. The majority of Americans don't like censorship and all this other stuff that the Democrat agenda, men playing women's sports, all this stuff that the Democrats shoved down everybody's throats as their top priorities the last few years. And then you just want to add insult to injury here and assume that Americans couldn't use the $5,000 of the government waste that we found. So it's just all a bit insulting to hear these idiots talk. And I hope they keep doing it. I hope that they keep shoving Jasmine Crockett out there and letting her be the new face of the Democrat Party. It's just Stacey Abrams 2.0, just a little bit better looking.
The problem the issue that I have where I take a different track, right now, I think I sent you this article the other day about John Fetterman. Now his staffers are leaving because he's willing to work with Donald Trump, on certain issues. And then
he came out and stuck his foot in his mouth and talked about DOGE being a bad idea. Like, why are Democrats so against us cleaning up fraud and waste?
Well, that's where I was going with this, actually. The thing, if I was the Democrats, what I would do right now is, like, everybody, and you and I talked about this on the radio a couple days ago, nobody thinks that sending, $1 million to Gaza or whatever it was for condoms is a good idea. No person really believes that, whether you're left or right. Maybe if you're like a fringe left person, maybe you think it is. But the majority of people don't think it is. Or all this wasteful spending. Everybody's against their tax dollars being wasted. So you can start from there. Like, everybody doesn't like their tax dollars being spent on stupid stuff. So instead of like saying, oh my God, this and that, I would think like, hey, look, let's work with DOGE. Let's figure out what the waste is. Yes, there have been some mess ups with what's happened with the firings and stuff. But I think that's kind of to be expected when you kind of do the bull in the China shop kind of thing. There's been so we've had some hiccups, but the point, the intentions in my mind are good. Like, let's fix this. What are the problems? And I think that's something that all the politicians should really work together on, because I think the whole public is for cutting all this stuff out. Like, I've never heard one person right now, except for like if you're on MSNBC or something like that, saying it's bad to fix the fraudulent Social Security checks. Like, nobody thinks that's bad. Like, your average citizen doesn't think that's bad because we pay for it. Yeah. This is our money. I mean, it's a kind of a Social Security is kind of like a Ponzi scheme, really, at this point, where you and I are paying for the elderly workers who already paid for other elderly workers, when they were younger. And I don't want that money going to, whoever that doesn't deserve to get it. Like, that's not right. I mean,
you got a 300-year-old person getting Social Security.
Yeah, I mean, which is not it's his relative that's cashing the check with his same name, or whatever it is.
We had a good phone conversation the other day about this, and this Social Security fraud. We're going to have multi-generation Social Security fraud, because you got people hundreds of years old that are getting Social Security checks. I want to know how long they've been getting them, because I want and I want to know who's involved, and I want people to go to jail that have been illegally cashing Social Security checks.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I think it's a massive amount of fraud. Just like
we got to have a hard reset, and not a great reset, or not the kind that the Democrats and the New World Order have been trying to push. We've got to have a hard reset on law and order in this country, and understanding what is breaking the law and what is not. And you talked about this the other day too. That whole thing about the average American, or maybe I was talking to somebody else about this, but they say the average American commits 2.5 felonies a day.
Yeah, there's like a book about that in there or something.
Well, I think now that we're seeing what's going on in Washington, D.C., I think what it is, the average bureaucrat commits about 100 felonies a day, and they're averaging that out to the rest of us to say that we all commit 2.5 felonies a day because misery loves company.
What's interesting also, too, about Elon and this DOGE thing. Like, Elon was a Democrat. I mean, he was.
Yeah.
And it's not
so was Trump, and so were other several high prominent current super conservatives that are just fed up.
Right. I mean, and so it's not like he's some partisan old school Republican. He's just saying, hey, look, man, I mean, we got to waste, we need to root it out. And that's my point. Like, I don't see what the resistance is to at least maybe working together and come out with a.
This should be as nonpartisan gets.
It just seems like that to me. Like they could. There's something they could all work together on. Now, people are going to disagree, and that's fine. But it's a goal that everybody wants. Everybody wants to fix that. I mean, I would. Most people do at least.
When we come back, I want to tell a quick story from this morning. I ran into a guy who used to think he was a woman, who used to think he was a black woman. As progressive Democrat as a progressive Democrat can be. He's married to a man. He's a white guy. And it's a guy that I used to have a lot of issues with because we had some business dealings together. And I ran into him this morning at the gas station on the way here. And I'm going to tell y'all something he told me that floored me. Stay tuned. I'll tell you about it when we get back. This is the Clay Edwards Show with SHAUN YURTKURAN. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. Guys, get out to Ellis Autoplex this weekend for all your automotive shopping needs, located right there on Highway 471 in Flowood, Mississippi. If you're heading east on Lakeland Drive, Highway 25, past Northwest Rankin, take that right there at the 471 exit, and boom, second dealership on your right. That's Ellis Autoplex, a.k.a. Little Truck City. They specialize in four-door, four-wheel drive pickup trucks, Chevy, Ford, Ram, they got them all. Toyotas, they got the big Tundras, they got Tacomas, they got it all over there. Of course, they got cars and SUVs as well. They even sprinkle in the occasional two-wheel drive pickup. But, man, what they really specialize in is F-150s. I mean, they got it all. But F-150s is their jam, 5.0s, EcoBoost, and more. Check them out today online, ellisautoplex.com. Financing available for all options, all credit situations. Some just require more money down than others. So check them out today, ellisautoplex.com. And don't forget, man, they are doing all your major automotive repairs now, too. And look, they can work on anything, but I'm telling you, they specialize in F-150s. Before you run off to a Ford dealership or any other for that matter and spend a lot of money getting something worked on with your EcoBoost or anything else, get a quote from Ellis. They've got certified mechanics that have worked at big dealerships and all that, working for them now. And let them save you a little money on those big jobs. And know it's going to be done right and be done here local at Ellis Autoplex. That's ellisautoplex.com. Sean, I think did we cover all that in the last segment?
Yeah, I think so.
The Jasmine Crockett stuff and everything. Yep. We're good there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we vetted all that pretty good. Let's talk about the meth bill here in Jackson or Mississippi. It set the internet on fire a little bit yesterday with Tyree. Kind of sounded off, and he wasn't a fan of it. Wasn't a fan of lowering any kind of meth from a felony to a misdemeanor, which, frankly, with the big criminal justice push to lighten up things, I was a little surprised, to be honest. Coming from a Democrat, but I kind of agreed with him, having slayed that dragon myself and seen that dragon slay so many others over the years. I was like, no, do not do anything to lower offenses on meth. It is the devil. We call them meth zombies for a reason. It is the worst drug on planet Earth, in my opinion, as far as what it does and what it can do to people and to a community. It's worse than crack. It's worse than anything. I know people say fentanyl, but fentanyl is not a drug necessarily. Fentanyl is a poison that's put in drugs to kill people.
Yeah.
Fentanyl is different. That's a different animal.
Sure.
It kills people quick. But anyway, for a drug itself, meth, there's nothing worse than what it can do to a community. I have witnessed it. I've had a front row seat for it. I have driven the car.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it's the devil reincarnated. But then I saw another side of it and kind of saw the explanation for it, and it made more sense. Actually, to the point that I agree with it now. And I thought our friend Russ Latino did a great job of breaking that down. And I should have pulled Russ's post up here in the break, but planning's everything. Sean, you did a breakdown of this last night. Why don't you tell people a little bit about it?
Yeah, right. This is Senator Daniel Sparks' bill, and I think 45 senators voted for it. I think that's right, if I'm remembering this. And what it's going to do, it's going to take it's going to change what's now considered a felony amount of methamphetamine down to a misdemeanor, but it's only a gram or less. So right now,
any amount is currently a felony.
Well, now if you're between a tenth of a gram or 2 dosage units, it's a misdemeanor. If it's a tenth of a gram, that's
right now.
Right now, currently, the way the law is. But
let me just say this: they're not catching nobody with that. They're swallowing that.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. I mean, I've never.
They're swallowing a gram. I've seen them do it. I've seen them do it before.
Yeah, I mean, but the felony amount is if you have less than 2 grams. That's a felony amount, which is punishable by 3 years in prison and a $50,000 fine. What he's doing is he's upping the misdemeanor amount to a whole gram or less. So that's what the new bill is going to do, and that's going to make that a misdemeanor, and it's going to be the first offense will be 30 days in jail, as well as you have to participate in a treatment program approved by the Department of Mental Health. And then there's a second offense. If you get a second offense within 5 years, it's the same thing, except for now it extends to 6 months in the county jail as the maximum punishment. The third offense within 5 years, will actually increase the penalty for having a gram or less to 5 years, which currently, again, it's at 3. So if you mess up the third time, your potential exposure becomes more. And, so that's the whole controversy is making a gram of meth a misdemeanor instead of currently where it is at a felony. I'm completely for this bill. I feel differently for various reasons. I think the war on drugs by any conceivable measure has been an abject failure, and there is no other way to describe it. What we've done since the early 1970s, over 50 years now, has not worked, and there is no one that is going to explain to me how this has been effective. It just hasn't, and the drug problem's not getting better. The drugs are still coming. The drugs won the war; they already did. So we have to realize what we're doing in terms of, and I said this on the live last night. I like what President Trump is talking about, calling the cartel terrorists. Now, if you want to make a dent in this, go down to Mexico and take them out. Fine with that. That's where you can make a dent. But what we're doing here is we're punishing addicts and low-level dealers and mules, and that's about it. And that's what we're doing. That's what the drug war's been, And so we've it's not worked. It's a big business for one thing. It's funded gun manufacturers, ammunition manufacturers, private prisons, law enforcement, lawyers. I mean, look, for me, the war on drugs is good because I get clients from that. But I'm just saying from a policy perspective, it's just not.
Well, one of the things we don't talk about a lot here is the law enforcement industrial complex.
It's what it is. It's exactly.
And it is funded largely with federal funds and state funds and county funds to keep drugs, and it's to fund the war on drugs.
Absolutely.
And a lot of these military-type vehicles that they buy and all of that stuff, which I'm all for it, if we need it, if it's making a difference. And there's certain communities that it does make a difference. But overall, you just move drugs from one area to another. You don't really defeat drugs.
Yeah, I mean, you're not making a dent in it.
You may clean up Rankin County. You may clean up Madison County to an extent, but you're pushing it to somewhere that may be more lax on it. So that'll be Jackson in this area, for example. You're just kind of pushing all the problems into a consolidated area. Homelessness is another good example. I want to read one little paragraph here from what Russ said about this bill. Yep. And this is the one that really jumped out at me and made me really appreciate it more beyond the catchy headline of converting meth from a felony to a misdemeanor. Because you say it like that without any context, it sounds horrible. Russ says this bill does reduce sentencing for possession of very small amounts of meth under a gram. But there's a practical reason. Someone arrested under current law with, say, half a gram must wait until the crime lab issues a report before they can be indicted. Those reports can take well over a year during which the person is either sitting in a cell or out on the street with an active drug addiction instead of getting the help they need. This arguably poses a greater threat to law enforcement. 2, the bill increases the punishment from 3 to 5 years for someone caught with 1 to 2 grams and creates a new 5-year felony for someone caught multiple times with a small amount. The goal is to prioritize major offenders. And 3, because I don't know if Daniel's bill is the right way to address the problem or not. I've not studied it closely enough. I know 45 people in the Senate voted for it before a single person or organization raised a stink. I also know Daniel is no idiot. He's one of the most thoughtful and studious members of the legislation. I didn't really mean to read all that, but I figured context matters. Yeah. I tend to agree on this, and it's a tough one. And I'm not in law enforcement, and you guys are on the front lines of this. You understand it better, but I've been on the other side of it, unfortunately. And I think the sooner you can get things expedited and through the system and, having to wait on the crime lab to verify stuff for a long time, the crime lab's backed up. If it can expedite things and people can – and look, man, I also don't think that your first offense drug things should be a felony all the time. If somebody's caught with a gram of meth, I don't know that should necessarily ruin their life if there's a path towards correcting their life. Like people who legitimately work the system and I don't mean work the system in a bad way. I mean work the proper system, whether it's rehab, rehabilitation, whatever. I don't know that we should be strapping every addict with a felony.
Yeah, I mean, and there'll be a counter to this that most of say you get a first offense meth possession of a gram. Most of those people are not going to prison. I mean, they may not be able to bond out, but in terms of their actual sentence in circuit court,
once they go to court,
I've never sent anybody to jail for having a gram of meth before. Generally you go to like a drug court program or a pretrial intervention, and pretrial intervention funds county DA's office, so it's good for that.
You got about 10 seconds.
But the problem is though, it still clogs up the docket. Yep. Where it could be handled in justice or municipal court. It doesn't need to go through this whole indictment process and deal with all of that and the crime, things Russ is talking about there. It's just logistically, it's bad.
I like it. We'll be right back. All right, guys. Appreciate you all tuning in today. Obviously, I wish we had a little bit more time to talk about that particular deal. Well, we'll run out of time here because I think we could really peel that back and really peel that back and have a good discussion there. So, anyway, good show today. Fun show today. Fun shows this week. Really good bunch of good shows this week. I enjoyed it. Appreciate all the guests. I'll be back here Monday doing it all again on 103.9 on the interwebs. Y'all hit that share button, man. I thought this show earned a share today. Hit the share button. Tell people they need to tune in. Listen to this. We hit a bunch of good topics and had several good phone calls. And look, if y'all aren't doing anything, get over there to that event tomorrow. That should be quite interesting there at Dueling Hall. I mean, look, I don't know. I'm not going. I'll never step foot in there again, after their Vax Pass requirements. But that's just me. I don't forget. I can't do it. I said I would never go, and I'm going to stick to my word. But it sounds like a great event for those who aren't as hard-headed as I am. Maybe the mayor shows up. My money is he doesn't. Smart. My money is he doesn't, but maybe he does. I intend on creating some more content later today. I got some other stuff I want to talk about, so we'll see that. Don't forget 12 Stones tickets are on sale now. I'm back in the concert business. Got them Friday, March 7th live at McBee's. Special guest, Storage 24 and Burnham Road. A big night of unplugged acoustic rock and roll. Going to be a great time. Tickets are only $20, and you can buy a VIP table for $50. Get them at eventbrite.com. That's eventbrite.com. You can search my Facebook pages and all that and just get a direct link if that's easier for you. Stay blessed. Peace out. Come back and kind of land the... All right, we got 20 seconds left. I forgot to tell you I'm a gas station story. I ran into the guy that was a former trans. He's a gay guy. He was as progressive gets. He told me today at the gas station, Clay, the older I get, the more conservative I get. I smiled like I hadn't smiled in a long time. Sean, thank you. See y'all Monday.